Meg Avanen and welcome my friends to Elven Awakenings, chatting with the Elven Scholar. And now, to your guide to all things Elvish, Dr. Erendil Spindler-Ellis, the Elven Scholar.
Once upon a time in a forest rich in pine and oak lived a young elf. He lived amongst his neighbors who were clothed in fur and feather, and found joy and peace with each sunrise, and silence in the evening light of the stars. He spent his days communing with his woodland brothers and sisters, and the nights in contemplation and meditation. Light shone upon him unstained from the mortal world, and he was happy. But as time passed, he became more aware of the land outside, filled with fear and despair, and he knew his time of living in the gentle woods was coming to an end, and his journey as a teacher was upon him. When the morning sun found him again, he walked out of the forest with nothing but the clothes on his back, and strode into the land of man, to teach and to be taught. For it is the way of all teachers, that the student so often will be the better master. This is my story, and it is true. My name is Erendil, and I am the Elven Scholar.
Anal na trach, was bethod, doch jel dienwe. Anal na trach, was bethod, doch jel dienwe. Anal na trach, was bethod, doch jel dienwe. Anal na trach, was bethod. Doch jel diende, anal natrach, urfas method, doch jel diende.
Megovana, my elven fae and other kin family. And as the clip you just heard might have clued you in on, that was from the movie Excalibur. And that was Merlin chanting away. This episode is about magic, and more specifically about elven magic. This show was inspired by a question from our dear elven sister Adriana, who is in Estonia. And she asked if we would do an episode on elven magic in particular. So today we're going to talk about magic. We're going to talk about what is magic actually, and is it spells, rituals, chants, magic balls, tarot cards, or is it something more subtle, more elven, such as Tolkien wrote of? So that's what we're going to explore today. So let's find out together just what is magic and what can we do with it together.
One dream, one soul, one prize, one golden glance of what should be, one child.
A little shout out and thanks to a wonderful singer, Freddie. Thank you for that little rendition of magic. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to go ahead and first do the colloquial or standard normal human definition of magic. All right, according to Wiki, the definition of magic is as follows. Magic is the application of beliefs, rituals, or actions employed in the belief that they can manipulate nature or supernatural beings and forces. It is a category into which have been placed various beliefs and practices, sometimes considered separate from both religion and science. Although connotations have varied from positive to negative at times throughout history, magic continues to have an important religious and medicinal role in many cultures today. In modern occultism and neo-pagan religions, many self-described magicians and witches regularly practice ritual magic, defining magic as a technique for bringing about change in the physical world through the force of one's will. This definition was popularized especially by Aleister Crowley, and he basically lived from 1875 to 1947. He was definitely a defining voice in the modern practice of magic. He was an influential British occultist, and since that time other religions, example would be Wicca and Levian Satanism, and magical systems such as chaos magic have adopted it. Okay, that is the standard modern interpretation of magic, but how do the elves perceive it? Or at least from the point of view from such sources as Tolkien and many other historians. As said so beautifully by Galadriel, when she was talking to Samwise. "And you," she said, turning to Sam, "for this is what you folk would call magic, I believe, though I do not understand clearly what they mean, and they seem to use the same word for the deceits of the enemy. But this, if you will, is the magic of Galadriel. Did you not say that you wish to see elf magic?" She made a really great point there, that when it comes to the average human being, they use the term magic for both good and ill, though many of the modern religions today, those that are mostly in power, have chosen to define magic as something of evil. But in Middle-earth, it was very much a different thing. Magic in Middle-earth is based upon enhancing or weakening the inherent properties of things. Thus, effects which are truly unnatural are unlimited. For example, Gandalf said to Legolas one time, "But I must have something to work with. I cannot burn snow." In other words, magic can't make snow burn. It can only enhance the properties of an object already. J.R.R. Tolkien in letter 155 went on to say, "I'm afraid I have been far too casual about magic, and especially the use of the word. Though Galadriel and others show by the criticism of the mortal use of the word that the thought about it is not altogether casual. But it is a large question and difficult in a story which is largely about motives." Tolkien was very careful about the use of magic. Yes, it was in Lord of the Rings and such, but I guess he tried to make it believable, where you don't have to so much suspend disbelief as you do with other certain movies. For elves and wizards, what others might call magic was not something special or different from the natural world, just a part of it that was not immediately visible, leading to more common categorizations of things as seen and unseen. All sentient inhabitants of Middle-earth have the ability of Sanwe Latya. This is an elvish word. It literally means thought opening. This ability is much like telepathy, allowing a guest mind to enter a host mind for the exchange of thought. It was also possible, through the application of unwill, to close off the mind from outside influence. These abilities were unknown to most people in Middle-earth, and to this day as well. Most people don't understand and I use it loosely, the magic of Sanwa Latye and the magic of telepathy. Although it's not wholly forgotten. Gandalf reads Frodo's mind in memory in Rivendell, and later communicates with Elrond and Galadriel speaking aloud. I love this little phrase by the Silver Elves. According to them, most people think of magic as a power or tool that is directed by will or force. And we do not deny there is truth to this, but we elfin see magic more as a relationship between ourselves and nature and the universe. And when we are in the proper relationship with these elementals, the magic just happens. Again, that goes back to what I'd said earlier, that all creatures have some innate ability, that it is just a part of the universe. It's just part of nature. And unfortunately, to most people, they have forgotten it. And so elves attempt to become more in balance with the universe, with nature, so that what seems magical to most is just normal to us. A beautiful example of this, and I know I have heard this, that a lot of people have called them magical and occultist and who knows what, but the Findhorn Garden. The Findhorn Garden, I've spoken of it before. It is a wonderful, wonderful place in northern Scotland, to where you can see roses blooming in the snow and cabbages 40 pounds, and it's just gigantic, and the vegetables look like they're made for giants. And it started most humbly as a little RV park and grew into this beautiful sanctuary that's now considered a world sanctuary. As they were growing, people were astounded because Peter Caddy and the others that lived there, they had no training in gardening, and here they are on the windswept, arid, sandy beaches of northern Scotland, and that's not far from the Arctic Circle, and so not a whole lot grew there except for the grasses from the beaches and so forth, and some seaweed. It would have been ludicrous to have said that you could grow a garden here, but they were directed by the nature spirits, which they were constantly meditating with and trying to become in balance with, to try to become in balance with nature and to grow a garden. They were instructed to grow a garden, and they were like, seriously? But they did. And so what some people call magical, seeing these plants grow that are not supposed to, literally are not supposed to grow, and trees growing and such, a paradise just very close to the Arctic Circle, most would call that magic. And yet it was just having a proper relationship with the elementals, with the nature spirits, with nature itself. And then the magic just happens. You don't have to, when you're a bird, you don't have to learn aerodynamics. You just fly. It might take a little practice, but you just have to fly. Doing magic, true magic, is like a bird flying. The bird, again, I said, did not have to learn aerodynamic theory or physics 101. They just fly. Again, magic, true magic is like that. You don't need rituals or spells or books. You yourself is magic personified. It is already within each of you. It is not so much something you learn. It's just something you simply allow yourself to be. I love this. As Julie the elf said in the movie Santa Claus,
"You look distressed."
Distressed? I'm way past distressed.
Why is that?
I'm talking to an elf. And I stopped believing in Santa Claus a long time ago.
That's not surprising. Most grown-ups can't believe in magic. It just sort of grows out of them.
Look, you're a nice little elf.
Thanks.
But this is a dream. I mean, this is fabulous. Is that a polar bear directing traffic down there? I see it, but I don't believe it.
You're missing the point.
What is the point?
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. Kids don't have to see this place to know that it's here. They just know.
Now, that's not saying that the tools that I've been talking about, the chanting and the rituals and the tarot cards, the crystal balls and crystals in general, it doesn't mean that those are not important. What it's trying to say is that tools are useful until they're no longer useful. There's a wonderful passage from the book called The Zen Teachings of Huang Po on the transmission of mind. And even though it's about Zen Buddhism, it really applies to magic as well. The passage goes, this is again from the sermons of Huang Po. He passed away around 850 AD. And it goes, regarding this Zen doctrine of ours, since it was first transmitted, it has never been taught that men should seek for learning or form concepts. Studying the way is just a figure of speech. kind of like magic, studying magic as a figure of speech. It is a method of arousing people's interest in the early stages of their development. In fact, the way is not something which can be studied. Study leads to the retention of concepts, and so the way is entirely misunderstood. Even though they're talking about a way of thinking or a way of discipline, it really applies to magic as well. There is nothing wrong with chants and rituals and crystal balls and crystals and tarot. There's nothing wrong with all these techniques. If they succeeded in arousing your interest and looking beyond what normal society looks at, that encourages you, inspires you to look deeper into the universe and to realize that there's more to it than society and culture tells you there is. And they can be useful in the beginning. They inspire you to, or encourage you, again, like I said, to look forward. But then there comes a time when they're no longer useful, and it's time to let them go and move forward. It's kind of like the old cliche with fear. People are damaged more by their imagination than they are by reality. In other words, we're far more afraid of things that we imagine than what is really in existence. And this is most of the times is the case. And that's the way it is with magic. Now let's reverse that. As far as you can be far more successful with magic by letting your imagination run free than believing in what people tell you is reality. What people tell you is reality is rarely correct. Reality is so much greater. It's so much more sacred and beautiful, and it's up to us to be willing to accept that you are magical. You are Elven, you are magical, and the ability exists within each and every one of us to be able to do it and to be able to manifest. I've talked about that many, many times, the 4 levels of manifestation. You can look at some of the past radio shows. You can go look at my YouTube channel, The Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar, and you can see a whole section of YouTube videos I talk about that. It's manifesting. It's letting the universe work through you. That's magic as well. So a lot of people will go, well, magic, it maybe it used to exist, but it doesn't anymore. Magic is dying. And all that's dying is the belief in it. The desire to not conform with what everyone else says and to be okay with being different. Here's a beautiful little example again from the Santa Claus about not believing in something because you haven't seen it yet.
Charlie, it's just not logical. How can one man, in one night, visit all the children of the world?
Not everyone celebrates Christmas. And I think there's some sort of time continuum that breaks down what Santa's in the sleigh.
What about fireplaces? A lot of people don't have them. How does Santa visit those people?
He turns into jello and the fireplace kind of appears and goes through it like this.
What about the reindeer? Have you ever seen a reindeer fly?
Yes.
Well, I haven't.
Have you ever seen $1 million?
No.
Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Before we finish up this section on magic, I wanted to go ahead and return one more time to Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings movies, and how Tolkien realized magic, how he looked at magic, and how he put it into his literature. As we know, as we've discussed here, it is within everything. The universe itself is magic. You are literally walking magic as well. We are all part of the fabric of the universe, which is magic. And in Tolkien's vision, it just was natural. It was there within all beings, but especially shown within the elves. And it was shown sometimes in a couple of ways. Yeah, every so often you'd have Gandalf giving a chant or something like that. A couple of beautiful renditions, one not in the movies, was when Luthien Tenuvial, for those that have read the Silmarillion. She goes and she's looking for her love, Beren, and he's being held in the Tower of Sauron back then. This is thousands of years before the Lord of the Rings. And she knows that he's within these towers. And so her song literally is so full of magic that she sings the tower into crumbling. And the tower comes down. And that's by letting the universe work through her. And then one more example would be, now this is from the Lord of the Rings, where Arwen has Frodo, and she makes it across the ford, the river running from the Nazgul, and he's just about gone. He is just about turned over into being a wraith. And she gives to me the most beautiful example of what magic is. For so many people, magic is a way to manipulate the universe, to force it into your will. And like I said before, the fourth level of manifestation is where you help to bring to fruition something that is already there, and it just needs to be brought out. You don't try to manipulate it, you don't change it, you don't try to recreate the universe in your vision. You help bring it to flower. And when Arwen is trying to heal Frodo, she doesn't try to manipulate the situation. She just simply says, what grace there is in me, let it go to Frodo. In other words, whatever the universe will do, I give up myself for this. Have a listen if you would.
Frodo, no! Frodo, don't give in! Not now! What grace is given me, let it pass to him. Let him be spared. Save him.
Last with me, Tuludan Galad.
If only all of us would do the same, to allow the universe to work through us, instead of trying to manipulate someone else, to just give of ourselves. What better magic is there than when we are in service to others and just allow it to happen through us? Before we part, I'd like to go ahead and play a beautiful song in its entirety. I recently found it. It is by Abigail Spinner McBride. Absolutely beautiful song, and it's about, you can find her on YouTube, by the way, and it's about that magic is all around us. I hope you enjoy it.
Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Awaken, rejoice, and sing. Behold, there is magic all around us. 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 Awaken, rejoice and sing. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Awaken, rejoice and sing. Awaken, rejoice and sing. Awaken, rejoice and sing.
Okay, we're going to take a little break here, and then when we get back, we've got some announcements to make. A special show that's going to be coming up here next week and then the week after. So we'll talk about that here in just a few. All right, this is Elven Awakenings, chatting with the Elven Scholar on Heroes and Mortals Radio, and we'll be right back. When you go to college, you expect the high halls and libraries filled with old books. But much has changed, and in today's world, online schools have exploded in popularity. Please join us at Lambengomor, the world's first online college with a nod towards elven and humankind alike. With Lambengomor, you can start a new career or a new life in the holistic health field. Learn a new elven language, study history and culture or the environment. We believe everyone deserves an affordable education with personalized attention. We provide full certifications in the following fields: home herbalist, Reiki levels 1 through Reiki master, nutritionist, first aid, elven history and culture, elven languages, Quenya and Sindarin, anatomy, botany, introduction to archaeology, ecology, astronomy, and elven laws of manifestation and meditation. We also offer full diplomas in the fields of medical herbalist and medical nutritionist. More classes are being added. Many students have already found new careers in these fields. You can pay for your classes outright or join a low-cost monthly subscription which allows you to take as many classes as you like at one time while you maintain the subscription. This college was founded to give you a chance to expand your horizons while believing in who you are. All classes are certified and are aimed at helping you start a new life and a new career. Adult study programs for both elves and humans alike, designed specifically for you. You can find us at www.elvenscholar.org. Discover what is inside of you. Be who you are at Lambengomor, the Elven School of Lore Masters. We're back, and so I just want to make a couple of quick announcements, and I'd also like to read a most beautiful poem, again, written by our dear Elven sister Anastonia Arena. But first, a couple of quick announcements. You all probably noticed, or some of those, at least those who listen to the show, that I was not live last week. We didn't do a new show, and that was because we had a dear family member of ours pass away. It was his name was Biscuit, and he was a almost 17-year-old dog cared for by our son Christopher, and it happened rather suddenly, and we weren't all quite expecting it, and it was rather traumatic for the family, so we took the week off to go ahead and give support where we could. So we weren't live last weekend. So this show that was supposed to be last weekend, obviously we're doing this time. I had Adriana gave me a wonderful idea. So we're going to go ahead and let it be a teachable moment. And we're going to do a special episode on this. Now next week, as we've talked about, next week is a wonderful episode. And it is in celebration of Heroes and Mortals' yearly show on Hobbit Reading Day. Now, Hobbit Reading Day is on Friday the 25th, and our normal Sunday show will still be aired, but it's going to be aired a couple of days early as well. So on, I know that the radio station, they'll go ahead and talk about this some more, but next week episode is going to be in celebration and support of Hobbit Reading Day, we're going to go ahead and talk about on our show the Silmarillion. We're going to talk about it in some detail. I know that it can be a rather difficult book for a lot of people to read. It's sometimes kind of hard to read as the Bible is. And Tolkien did not spare detail when he wrote that book. And it is a wonderful, magical book. And we're going to go ahead and read part of it. This is obviously a very small part of it. And talk about some of the beauty and majesty and how special that book is. And so it will be airing on our normal Sunday time, but it'll also be airing the Friday before, so the 25th as well. And again, in support of Hobbit Reading Day, a wonderful thing that Heroes Immortals does every year. So I hope you enjoy next week's show. It is on the Silmarillion and all the magic and beauty that goes into that beautiful mythic and epic tale. Okay, now the episode after that is a very special episode. Adriana wondered if we would do an episode in light of what the family just went through, and a show about how to cope with, how to handle when someone dear to you has passed. It can be a human, it can be a dog or a cat. It can even be the loss of something very important to you, like a lifestyle or a career. But so 2 weeks from today, we're going to be talking about how an elf and how you can cope with loss, how we can understand it, how we can come to terms with it. I know it's a very important topic, especially in today's world with all that's going on. And how you can find ways to cope and to help understand the meaning behind all this. Some things that seem to have no meaning, try to bring closure. So that's what we're going to be talking about 2 weeks from now. So again, thank you, Adriana, for a wonderful, wonderful idea. Okay, now I'd like to go ahead and read her poem before we take another break, and then it'll be story time. So I'd like to go ahead and read Adriana's poem right now if we can. All right, the poem is titled Dream of Tol Eressëa. And we'll actually probably talk about this next week when we talk about the Silmarillion. Tol Eressëa is supposed to be this beautiful island that is where so many of the elves live today in freedom and sheltered from the horrors of the mortal world. And it's a dream of many elves to be able to return back to there. So she wrote of a new poem, an elven poem about this, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I'd like to read it to you, very short. I dreamed about an island lost upon the sea. I dreamed that I heard voices singing in the night. Songs that only elves can hear, I heard them in my heart. I dreamed that I saw elves dimly through the mist, elves singing and dancing underneath the stars. I dreamed that the sweet voices called me. I heard their voices fair. I dreamed that I was walking on the shores wide and gray, that arms reached out to hold me and voices begged me to stay. But then I awoke and I cried. As always, thank you, Adriana. You are truly a gift of Eru, a gift of God. Thank you for a very beautiful poem. I personally understand this poem very well and how much it means to us to be able to return home. Okay, we're going to take another real quick break here, and then it will be story time. Be right back. Deep in the forest is a place filled with artifacts of an age gone by, a time when elven and fairies and all those of otherkin knew who they were and remembered our mythic past. It is our pleasure here at Elven Artifacts to present some of those memories. With the rising cost of so many things today, it is becoming harder to find those precious gifts that pass along an air of myth and magic to our homes and to our individual lifestyles. Within this store, you may find that one particular treasure that reminds you of your gentler past, something to help grace your home with our memories. It is our goal to keep everything priced in such a way that makes it available to as many of our gentler folk as we can. Through the magic of 3D printing, we are able to offer them at a greatly reduced price. We are including Elven, Fairy, D&D, and other kin products such as statues, wall plaques, bathrooms, kitchenwares, musical instruments, smartphone accessories, clothes, and so much more. In keeping with our Elven traditions, all items are made from eco-friendly biodegradable materials. The plastic is made from sugarcane and bamboo. You're also welcome to customize your own artifacts. One of the most important features of this store is the ability that allows you to customize an item. You can have your name written in your language or in Elven, and even customize the images placed on the items. Please let us know what you're interested in designing, and we will try and help you again at an affordable cost. So please feel free to look us up at elvenscholar.org/store, and we'll do our best to help you find those memories that remind us of our true inner nature. Namarie. We are again back at my favorite time of the hour, and it is story time. Very often I try to have stories that have some special meaning in it, something that we can walk away with and having learned something about life. But this time I would just like to be gentle and just a wonderful little story for you. For those that would like to see the video that accompanies it, they are welcome to watch the YouTube version of this after the radio show is on. It will be on my YouTube channel, The Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar, so please feel free to take a look if you'd like. This story's name, some of you may know it, it's a rather old one. It's called The Fairy Ointment. Alright, it's also called The Fairy Nurse. It's a very old story. It's an English fairy tale, and it was originally collected by Joseph Jacobs. He was around in the 1800s and into the early 1900s, and he collected these stories in what he called the English fairy tales. And it has a lot of different names to it, a lot of different variations to it. Quite simply, it is a nurse or a midwife back in the old English countryside, and she knew how to take care of the babies. And the fairy world heard about it, and they needed her assistance one time. So this is a very gentle retelling of it by the YouTube channel Rosania. Beautiful little channel that has some cute little fairy tales on it. You might want to take a look and give them a subscribe. All right, so it's about her going and helping this fairy couple with their child, and some of the little magic that comes out of it. It's a very gentle, easy story. I hope you all enjoy it. Again, by Rosania, it is The Fairy Ointment.
Once upon a time there lived a jolly widow woman whose business was minding babies and tending sick people. She was good and kind, and her cures had become known across the land. At each day's end, she was content to know she'd helped the neighbours with her caring. One dark night, at the stroke of midnight, she was woken by a pounding on the door. There stood the strangest man she'd ever seen. He was beckoning her to come with him as his wife was sick and they needed someone to mind their baby. At first she refused because she was very frightened, but thinking of the child, agreed to go with him. He put her on the back of his horse, and they rode off into the night. woman tried to control her fear as they left the village far behind. All night they rode, until at dawn they came to a little cottage in a clearing in the woods. The strange man's family were waiting in a damp, dark room. His poor wife passed the widow some special ointment to rub on the baby's eyes. The widow thought this a strange request, for the baby seemed quite fit and well. But she did as she was told. Curious to know what the ointment did, she decided to try it on herself. But the moment it touched her eye, it was a fairy cottage. The ointment revealed things as they really were. Fearing a spell might be put on her, she pretended nothing had happened. Soon all was well. The strange little man paid her generously and took the widow home. The next day was market day in the village. As she had some money in her pocket, the woman went out to stock up on food for the house and hear the news from her friends and neighbours. It was a day the whole village looked forward to. The wandering tinker would arrive and set up his stall. People from all around would bring their vegetables to sell, and the baker would bake extra bread and sticky buns. The children played and ran round the market excitedly until the puppet show began. Everyone enjoyed market day. Who was this? It was the strange little man, stealing from all the stalls. The widow was puzzled. Why didn't someone stop him? He was invisible to everyone. Only she could see him because of the fairy ointment. She asked after his wife and children. The man was shocked. She could see him. But of course she could. Oh, can you? Yes, she could, as clear as day. With that, he blew some magic dust into her eyes. had he gone? And then she noticed something strange at the bread stall. A loaf of bread moving on its own. Of course, he must still be there, but now he was invisible to her as well. The dust he'd blown into her eyes had stopped her seeing into the fairy world, and she never saw another fairy again from that day to this.
Well, the hour is almost up, and it is that moment where we go into final thoughts. And please bear with me, everybody. I'm going to talk about a subject I have mentioned multiple times, but I have a really good reason for it. It was from a recent inspiration, and that is, again, about fear choices. Do you make choices out of fear or out of love? And I'm going to go ahead and talk about this because of something that happened 2 Sundays ago where we were able to witness mass hysteria within a very short period of time and how people just followed the crowd. And why do I talk about this? Okay, again, because the show is about realizing who you are, whether it's you want to just call human or elven or fae or otherkin or Christian or Jewish, whatever you want to call yourself. Are you being you? Are you being the most that you can be by allowing yourself to just be you and not conform to other people's versions of who you should be? And the show is about reawakening that true self, that true inner light within you. And you will never in this lifetime ever realize who you truly are as long as you allow fear to drive you instead of love. So a couple of Sundays ago, my wife and I were in a Telegram group, and as one of the ways that we, with faith, manifest income is through cryptocurrency, working with crypto. I've talked about it before, and we've been very blessed with it. And you learn when you're in cryptocurrency that if you learn how to do it right, you learn that there's a whole lot of volatility to it, that within minutes, a particular token or coin that or project you're in can skyrocket and then plunge, literally within seconds. And you learn to recognize these things and you go with the flow. And in the end, remember what I mentioned about manifestation we did in this show as well. So much is about faith and knowing that in the end, everything will be okay if you allow it to happen, if you are able to let go of the attachment of the result and just go with the flow. Don't be attached to the results. Let it flow, and you'd be amazed how things turn out. The universe will care for you if you just let it go. And I know that that is a very hard thing to do for a lot of people. I've been through it myself. Well, we were sitting in this Telegram group about 2 Sundays ago, and this particular project that we were all in, because that's what a lot of Telegram groups do within crypto, is they make Telegram groups for the particular project that you're in. Okay, and this particular project had taken a pretty big plunge, but we all knew why it was happening, and we knew it was going to be okay, that this was just a temporary thing and that it would rise again, always with faith. And there was a lot of talk going on. There was a little bit of fear, and then one person came onto the Telegram group, and it was the owner of the Telegram group. And so that is a person of influence, someone that others will listen to. And this person, for some reason, maybe they just had a bad night and came on the Telegram and just let loose and was incredibly fear-based and was doom and gloom. And all of a sudden, a group that was kind of on the edge jumped over the edge. This all happened within 5 minutes. They were just and massively fear-driven. This person came on and went, "I just sold $20,000 worth of my tokens. I've just had it. I know that this is going bad." And the people, "You did? You sold?" And they all of a sudden, they just literally within minutes, and you could actually watch, just like you do with stocks, you can watch the ticker, and you could see them all literally go off and suddenly sell off. And within moments, you saw the token that was already down just plunge all the more. And it was all happening in real time, and my wife and I are on there, and an admin was also on there going, calm down, you're overreacting. And it was even the admin who works for the owner was telling the owner, you're scaring them. Just, you're overreacting, you're acting out of emotions, just calm down. And it was already too late. People had panicked. And because this individual panicked, they all panicked. And they sold. And in about 20-25 minutes, all of a sudden, the owner came to his senses, realized what he'd done, and went, oh, okay, no, everything's fine. And he literally went back, rebought what he'd sold, but at a great loss, because he sold at like 220, and well, he had bought originally at 220. Now he sold it like 140, and it had plunged, and so he had lost thousands. Now he's buying back, and all of a sudden the others are plunging back in, and you could literally in real time now watch the token go back up in price. And people, all of this due to henny penny type of reactions, fear, and it was incredible to watch it. And because my wife and I continued out of faith and made decisions out of love, we lost nothing. The token went back up, we lost nothing. A mass number of people in the Telegram group within 20 minutes had lost thousands of dollars. Now they rebought back in, but at they'd already lost so much money by that time the token had crashed. And so now they were, it's the kind of thing, sell high or buy low. They had done the opposite. And so unfortunately, a lot lost money. So it's not that this show is about money, but it is about manifestation. It is about realizing who you are. And it's about reawakening that beautiful thing within you, that elven light within you. So I'm going to take a little moment here and play a sweet little gentle episode from YouTube on Henny Penny. And it's very cute. A lot of you probably know the story. And I'd like to go ahead and play it because 2 Sundays ago was very much a Henny Penny type example. And for the past couple of years or so, we have watched so many Henny Penny type things. People just following the crowd, crying that the sky is falling when it really wasn't. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you real quick, and then we'll be back. And got a couple other beautiful things to share with you. Okay?
Henny Penny. Henny Penny was a chicken. She was a hungry chicken. One day, she was looking for food on the ground. Suddenly, a nut fell off of a tree. The nut hit Henny Penny on the head.
Oh my! The sky is falling! I must tell the king,
Henny Penny said. She ran by the barn. Cocky Locky said, "Cock-a-doodle-doo! Henny Penny, where are you going?" Henny Penny replied,
the sky is falling! I must tell the king. Why don't you come too?
"I will," Cocky Locky said. They ran by the lake. Ducky Lucky said,
"Quack, quack, Henny Penny and Cocky Locky, where are you going?"
They replied, "The sky is falling! We must tell the king! Why don't you come too?"
"I will,"
Ducky Lucky said. They ran by the river. Goosey Lucy said,
Honk, honk! Henny Penny, Cocky Locky, and Ducky Lucky, where are you going?
They replied, "The sky is falling! We must tell the king! Why don't you come too?"
"I will,"
Goosey Lucy said. They ran into the forest. Turkey Lurkey said,
"Gobble, gobble, gobble, Henny Penny, Cocky Locky, Ducky Lucky, and Goosey Lucy, where are you going?"
They replied,
the sky is falling! We must tell the king! Why don't you come too?
"I will,"
Turkey Lurkey said. They ran by a cave. Foxy Loxy saw Henny Penny, Cocky Locky, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, and Turkey Lurkey.
I will invite them into my cave. Then I can eat them,
said Foxy Loxy.
Ah! Henny Penny, Cocky Locky, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, and Turkey Lurkey. Where are you going?
They replied,
The sky is falling. We must tell the king. Why don't you come too?
I will, but first rest in my cave,
said Foxy Loxy. Suddenly, a nut fell off of a tree. The nut hit Foxy Loxy on the head.
Oh my! The sky is falling! We must tell the king! You must come too!
She cried. But Henny Penny, Cocky Locky, Ducky Lucky, Goosey Lucy, and Turkey Lurkey said,
The sky is not falling.
No, indeed, the sky is not falling, and rarely does it ever. So, I know, very childlike little story, but it's funny how those can be more important to adults than even to children. It kind of was that way with the Flintstones cartoon for those that are old enough to remember it. It really was made more for adults than it was for children. And if you have watched it enough, probably know what I'm talking about. All right, before we finish up, I'd like to share something, and this is from a wonderful writer. I've talked about him before, Khalil Gibran. I think he was a Lebanese poet and writer from the late 1800s through the early part of the 1900s. Amazing, beautiful prose he would write. A lot of, I think I've compared him to Rumi. And he talks about something that's called half is not enough. In other words, if you live your life in fear, then you will always be living a half life. And you will never truly know joy nor the true depths that sorrow can teach you. And if you only live a half a life, it's really not much of a life at all. So I'd like to go ahead and read what he wrote. It's absolutely beautiful. All right. Half is not enough by Khalil Gibran. Do not love half lovers. Do not entertain half friends. Do not indulge in works of the half talented. Do not live half a life, and do not die half a death. If you choose silence, then be silent. When you speak, do so until you are finished. Do not silence yourself to say something, and do not speak to be silent. If you accept, then express it bluntly. Do not mask it. If you refuse, then be clear about it, for an ambiguous refusal is but a weak acceptance. Do not accept half a solution. Do not believe half truths. Do not dream half a dream. Do not fantasize about half hopes. Half a drink will not quench your thirst. Half a meal will not satiate your hunger. Half the way will get you nowhere. Half an idea will bear you no results. Your other half is not the one you love. It is you in another time, yet in the same space. It is you when you are not. Half a life is a life you didn't live. A word you have not said, a smile you postponed, a love you have not had, a friendship you did not know. To reach and not arrive, work and not work. Attend only to be absent. What makes you a stranger to them closest to you, and they strangers to you? The half is a mere moment of inability, but you are able, for you are not half a being. You are a whole that exists to live a life, not half a life. All right, one more note and then we're done for the day. And I'm going to play a beautiful little sound clip, and this is called So You Live Your Life. And it's repeating a speech that Chief Tecumseh, a Shawnee warrior back in the 1800s, he gave this speech about truly living your life and not in fear. I got this from the YouTube channel Red Frost Motivation. Beautiful little YouTube channel. I hope that you guys will give it a listen and maybe go ahead and subscribe. Again, Chief Tecumseh, and a beautiful speech made hundreds of years ago, and how important it is today, where so many people live their life in fear, and again, either live a half life or no life at all. A short life filled with adventure is far, far richer than a long life lived in mediocrity and fear. Chief Tecumseh.
So, live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one for their religion. Respect others in their view, and demand that they respect yours too. Love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you pass over the great divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger, when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for food and the joy of living. If you see no reason to give thanks, the blame lies only on yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise into fools and robs the spirit of its vision. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, so that when their time comes, they weep and pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a hero going home.
Thank you again, Red Frost Motivations, for that wonderful YouTube video of Chief Tecumseh. I hope this episode meant something to some of you about realizing that magic is real and that it is within each and every one of us, that just it's not that some people are born with it and some aren't, because everyone is a magical note in this universe, and all you have to do is look within to find it. It's up to you whether you want to use chants or rituals or just reach within and let the universe work through you. It's up to you. All right, again, remember, next week is a special week. On March 25th will be Hobbit Day, and our normal Sunday show will be played on that day. And in celebration of Hobbit Day with Heroes and Mortals Radio, we will be doing an episode on the Silmarillion. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that episode will be replayed during our normal time that following Sunday on the 27th. And for those who have experienced a loss in your life and are having a problem coping with it, or maybe you know someone who has as well, please remember that on that'll be April 3rd, we will have a very special episode on coping with loss and understanding what actually is happening to those that you care about, and how you can better cope with it, how you can meet it with it, and find that life within you again. I hope it helps. All right. As always, thank you for listening, my friends, and until we are together again next week, may you all be blessed by the elves. My name is Dr. Arindia Spendalelis. And I am the Elven Scholar. Namarie. Megavanen, and welcome to our YouTube channel, The Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar. My name is Dr. Arendis Spindalelis, and I am the Elven Scholar. Join me on this journey exploring all things Elven. Learn about Elven culture, healing, diet, meditation, and Elven spirituality. Come and take this adventure with me, and together we can find that inner light and balance that exists within each one of us. Namarie.